Lance Henriksen. Born May 5, 1940, Lance Henriksen's haunted presence in Aliens hid years of poverty and rejection before fame found him. At 85, his $5 million feels like a bittersweet prize for a life of struggle. Lorenzo Lamas. Born January 20, 1958, Lorenzo Lamas soared in Renegade, but failed marriages and fading roles left him adrift. At 67, his $2 million wealth feels distant from the swagger of his glory years. Michael Keaton. Born September 5, 1951, Michael Keaton became iconic in Batman, then vanished into obscurity before clawing back. At 73, his $25 million fortune carries the weight of vanished years. Michael Madsen. Born September 25, 1957, Michael Madsen's grit in Reservoir Dogs hid chaos and addiction. At 67, his $6 million fortune is overshadowed by personal tragedy and scars from a turbulent path. Daniel Craig. Born March 2, 1968, Daniel Craig's icy strength as Bond cost him peace and privacy. At 57, his $160 million feels more burden than triumph as he retreats from 007's shadow. Nick Nolte. Born February 8, 1941, Nick Nolte's rugged charm in The Prince of Tides gave way to arrests and ruin. At 84, with $75 million, he's a survivor haunted by a wild past. Steve Austin. Born December 18, 1964, Steve Austin, wrestling's Stone Cold, turned rebellion into legend, but injuries and failed ventures wore him down. At 60, his $30 million wealth can't mask time's toll. Lou Ferrigno. Born November 9, 1951, Lou Ferrigno's Incredible Hulk fame belied a lifetime of silence and loss from hearing impairment. At 73, his $12 million fortune rests in quiet isolation. Anthony Hopkins. Born December 31, 1937, Anthony Hopkins terrified in Silence of the Lambs, yet addiction and despair nearly ended him. At 87, his $160 million carries the solemn wisdom of survival. Devon Sawa, B. September 7, 1978, rose in Final Destination but couldn't outrun addiction and career collapse. At 46, sobriety came too late for lost years. With $2 million left, he rebuilds, scarred but breathing. Norman Reedus, B. January 6, 1969, lived as Daryl Dixon in The Walking Dead, a hero to millions, but car crashes and broken hearts left him limping through 56 years. His $25 million fortune can't heal the emotional wreckage. Chris Evans. Born June 13, 1981, Chris Evans became Captain America, yet celebrity left him disillusioned. At 44, his $110 million wealth feels like armor against the emptiness fame can't heal. Matt Dillon. Born February 18, 1964, Matt Dillon burned bright in Crash and Drugstore Cowboy, but his stardom slipped away. At 61, his $40 million fortune rests beside quiet regrets of what never was. Jason Priestley. Born August 28, 1969, Jason Priestley's teen idol glow in Beverly Hills, 90210 faded after a brutal car crash. At 55, his $12 million fortune cannot erase scars etched deeper than fame. Will Smith. Born September 25, 1968, the Fresh Prince turned global superstar, saw his life crack with public scandals and a career freefall. At 56, his $350 million feels fragile under the weight of redemption. Donnie Wahlberg, b. August 17, 1969, became an icon as Danny Reagan in Blue Bloods, yet behind the badge was a man haunted by failed marriages and fading fame. At 55, he clings to a modest $25 million fortune, battling demons of relevance and regret. Al Pacino, b. April 25, 1940, embodied Michael Corleone in The Godfather, a role that immortalized him yet cursed him with loneliness. Now 85, love eludes him, and his $120 million legacy feels hollow amid health battles and estranged children. Johnny Depp. Born June 9, 1963, Johnny Depp's brilliance in Pirates of the Caribbean crumbled under scandal and ruin. At 62, his $150 million wealth feels adrift amid the wreckage of a fallen star. George Clooney. Born May 6, 1961, George Clooney, once Hollywood's golden man from Ocean's 11, now retreats from fame's noise. At 64, his $500 million wealth sits heavy on a man longing for quieter shores. Liam Neeson, b. June 7, 1952, was Taken's avenging father, yet tragedy struck when his wife died suddenly. At 73, he's worth $145 million but still mourns, each role a distraction from unhealed grief. Patrick Wilson, b. July 3, 1973, enchanted as Ed Warren in The Conjuring, yet a quiet midlife depression consumed him. At 52, with $10 million, he hides his despair behind charming smiles and haunted eyes. Dylan McDermott, b. October 26, 1961, starred in American Horror Story, but real-life horrors, abuse, addiction, plagued him. Now 63, his $20 million wealth feels like ash in a lonely existence. Lance Henriksen. Born May 5, 1940, Lance Henriksen's haunted presence in Aliens hid years of poverty and rejection before fame found him. At 85, his $5 million feels like a bittersweet prize for a life of struggle. Lorenzo Lamas. Born January 20, 1958, Lorenzo Lamas soared in Renegade, but failed marriages and fading roles left him adrift. At 67, his $2 million wealth feels distant from the swagger of his glory years. Michael Keaton. Born September 5, 1951, Michael Keaton became iconic in Batman, then vanished into obscurity before clawing back. At 73, his $25 million fortune carries the weight of vanished years.